Hi, everybody, and welcome to July 11th, 2024 edition of the KubeStellar Community Meeting. Welcome to all. Our meetings are recorded. If you are on video, yes, you are being recorded. This will be posted to our YouTube channel at kubestellar.io/TV or at KubeStellar on YouTube. If you would like to speak up during the call, remember you're being recorded also. So if you don't want either of those to happen, either shut off your video, don't talk during the meeting, or disconnect altogether. But thank you for all those who are in attendance. We'll get started here just after reading some items. If you want to contribute to this or read or edit this agenda, please go to kubestellar.io/join us. That's join us, either one word, or join us separated, join_us. And that's located here. I ask you all, if you're attending this meeting, please scroll down to the 7/11/2024 and add your name to the list of folks that are attending. I see some people doing that now. Thank you. You can copy and paste from a previous meeting if you'd like to. Okay, so any member is welcome to suggest a topic. Please add it to the current meeting that we're having now in the display below. And I'll just quickly read our contributor code of conduct. As we are a member, as we are contributors and maintainers in the CNCF community, and in the interest of fostering an open and welcoming community, we pledge to respect all people who contribute to reporting issues, posting feature requests, updating documentation, submitting pull requests or patches, and other activities. We're committed to making participation in the CNCF community a harassment-free experience for everyone, regardless of level of experience, gender identity and expression, sexual orientation, disability, personal appearance, body size, race, ethnicity, age, religion, or nationality. That basically just means everybody just please be nice to each other. That's a good rule. Good general rule. All right, so today's meeting, let's see, we have some updates on things that are going on primarily in the space of, I believe there's been some work on combined status. There's also been work on, lots of work on the documentation aspects of KubeStellar, and we'll go through those here. We've also been accepted to speak at KubeCon days down in Washington, D.C. on blue-green deployment, blue-green and canary deployments. So that's a good start here. So let's get things going. So I think, Kevin, you'd probably be the first person I'd call on here since you're on the call. You want to give us any information on how KubeStellar IO documentation is being shaped?
Sure, I can try. So we've been working hard to clean up the semantic flow so that how you work through, especially the documentation, makes more sense. And it's not perfect, and there are still a few items which are in flux, but in particular, the tasks involved in using KubeStellar are now getting more organized in the user guide. So when you come in to try and figure out how to do something, the flow makes sense. That's the big goal. There are still some documents being written. They're not complete yet, but and there will be some shifts in the navigation. I'm actually working on something to make that left menu more obvious where you are right now. The PR is about to go live. In fact, it turned out it's a very simple change. That will help a lot, I think. That blue color is hard to spot. So it'll actually draw a box around the current page.
Very good.
So in fact, if you want to preview it, Andy, I can put the link in the chat.
Got the PR?
I'm just pushing the button for the PR, but I have the actual mock-up page working. So
okay. You gotta throw it over in the chat.
The chat. There we go.
Very nice.
So I think it makes it really obvious where you are.
Yeah, you got to watch your footers on this, though. You see how the footers are coming up and disappearing?
The footers. Okay, that's something else. They're just further down on the page. If you scroll down on the long page, you should get.
Yeah, it's causing the dock to shift a lot. You
Yeah,
might
that's
not even
that's
need footers. Maybe we remove them altogether. This just making the thing shift around quite a bit. Looks like it redraws margins. That's annoying. I hadn't seen it do that before. Yeah, but I like the location effect. That's really nice.
I think it'll reduce the confusion a lot that was expressed yesterday. Um, and in particular about that getting started link up in the top. It actually it's a shortcut to get to getting started in
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
user
oh, I
guide.
see. I see what you're saying. Yeah, cool. The other thing here I'm noticing, when we come in from the welcome page, right? We go to documentation,
Yep.
dump people on the user guide. I guess I guess that's okay. I really haven't thought about it too much, but I guess that's the natural flow there, right? So it only kind of, do we even need two tabs up here is what I'm questioning. Maybe we just need the user guide, because if you're dumping them in right here, I don't know. It's up to you.
It's well, the other thing that has changed is the top menu on the landing page has changed. So if you hit the button, it takes you into the user guide because that's the
Right,
documentation.
right.
But if you use the top menu, there are matching links
Yeah.
in the landing page. So if you click on the icon,
Mm.
if you click on the KubeStellar logo right
Yep.
there. So I'm not seeing anything change.
Well, it's on the welcome page. You're not seeing that change?
I don't see the welcome page. No, I'm still seeing the user guide.
No, that's odd. So I am flipping around. It's weird. Oh, looks like I'm frozen here.
There it goes. It just caught up with you clicking around.
Yeah.
So now up at the top, you see we have at the top of the splash page, we now have menu items that match everything in the main.
Oh, cool. Right. Very nice. Oh, all right. I get what you're saying. Yeah. I hadn't really taken note of that lately. Okay. Good. Yeah, Franco, you had a question?
Yes, maybe a suggestion to your initial comment of the bottom black bar that shows up. I think the problem is that it goes across all three columns. If it
Right.
was associated only to the central column, probably it would not create an issue
I see. Yeah, yeah,
because it's next back and forth, right? But it's only
right.
for the text in the middle.
Yeah. I don't know what that was. Looks like it just I don't know what my browser's doing. Okay. Okay, yeah. So something to consider, Kevin, but it looks much better than it did. So this is I think a positive move in the right direction. Okay, so Ricky, Ash, and Alex, you've been primarily working with the documentation to understand how to install and use KubeStellar. It would be a really cool exercise if any of you would take another look at, as soon as this PR goes live. So not in the form it's in right now, but as soon as the PR is active, when you push the button on the PR, Kevin, would you please publish that information in the public channel, and then we can relay that over to the IFOS.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, great. Okay. Any other comments or questions on the documentation updates? Okay, we'll move on. Updates on Helm. All right. I know that, so had been some. I've been using an old version of KubeFlex, and since upgrade, I've had less issues with the Helm chart, so that's good news. I wanted to know. So I think we're not. Franco, do we have any outstanding items on there?
I do not believe so.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I haven't seen any bug reported
Right.
for Elm, and I don't think there was anything left open. I think the only concern or issue or discussion about the Helm chart is about the retrieval of the kube configs, right? So there is still, there is more than one way to do it. There is not a super clean way to do it. The preferred way currently, I think, is using Kflex CLI.
Right. Okay. All right. The other thing, I think there was something that was going on here. Oh, I know what it was. So if you haven't been tuned into it, Ash opened this up. There we go. Just stay tuned to this, Franco. I'm gonna CC you on it. I don't know exactly what's happening here, but this might be no such host. There might be something here. I don't know if it probably is not directly related to the Helm install, but you want to kind of just keep an eye out on this. There's some interesting things happen here with respect to the Postgres.
Okay, I will take a look.
Okay.
So, by the way, if I can make a comment, I will look into it. There is a potential, Postgres comes up slow, typically, because of requires the creation of the request for the volume, right? That's usually super slow. Right now, Postgres is installed in a patched-in way because of a bug in Helm that does not allow to do some things with the subchart. So we install Postgres as a pre-install hook, and that's occasionally has seen some issues, especially if there was some already pre-installed or something like that. I'll look into it for the details.
Okay. There's also something in there about, I don't know if we've done this or not yet, but Franco, do you do anything to check? Does the Helm installation do anything to do a pre-flight check to determine if the prerequisites are available?
The Helm does not require any prerequisites, right? As long as you provide with a working cluster, it will install into it. It doesn't have any other prerequisite except Helm, right? So the
So we
trick is
can't
if
use.
if you type Helm and it doesn't work, you know that you don't have Helm, and if it comes back,
No, I get that part, right? Is there any way to, because Helm does use or does exercise other other prereqs that we have. Is there a way, I don't know, I'm speaking out of ignorance because I don't know necessarily if Helm has the ability to do this, but does Helm have the ability to check for other prerequisites aside from itself?
No, it doesn't. But again, there is no prerequisite. The prerequisite of Helm is having a cluster and having Helm. There is nothing else. After Helm, you may need something else to register the cluster and to do some other things, but there is no need even for kubectl to install the Helm chart.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that. I get that. I was looking at it from, yes, I haven't worked with Helm in a while. So the where I was going with this is if it were able to check the prereqs
It
automatically
cannot check
beforehand.
anything on the host, so
Yeah.
it does some checking
Right.
for what it deploys and what it needs to deploy other
Right.
component, but it doesn't check anything on the host, and it cannot check anything on the host. There is a script to check the prerequisite
Yep.
that is in the scripts, so
Yep.
that can be customized specifically for your application to check specific prerequisite for your deployment.
Very good. I opened an issue with Paolo and Kuflex just yesterday, I think it was, and it was about uh, the name of the command we use for Kuflex is Kflex, but the name of the package that's installed is called Kubeflex. So I was wondering if there was a way to make that consistent, if that's a good idea, bad idea, what have you. Because if you do a Helm upgrade for Helm upgrade Kflex, which you would, you tied it back. Oh, I'm sorry, that was stupid. Sorry, brew upgrade Kflex. What you get back is sorry, I don't know what Kflex is. Did you mean X, Y, or Z? So I was wondering if maybe we could make them the same so that they're not, let's see what it comes back with. Yeah, see, did you mean flex or iflex? So because the command, I think, so if I type in kubeflex, right, I don't get a command found, but if I type in kflex, that's the command. So I was wondering if maybe we can make kflex be the package name or make the command line kubeflex. One or the other, maybe to make that consistent. Just a suggestion. All right.
I think was when that was done was intentional because mainly because people don't like to type long commands. So the idea was to have a short command for the CLI, but that was sort of the entry point for installing kubeflex as well. So in a way, the whole package was called kubeflex. I don't know that. Yes,
Yeah,
I'd like to
something
hear
to think
also other
about.
opinions.
Yeah, it's just something to think about, and maybe even the package could be overloaded such that it could
Maybe we
be
can create an alias
right.
or something. I don't know.
Right. Maybe. Okay. So just something to consider. No,
Okay.
nothing like the sky's on fire there. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so Ash, Alex, Ricky, any comments on the documentation that you've seen or like to talk about in terms of the installation or any of the instructions and any of the changes you've seen made? Okay. We'll move on. All right, performance testing. Braulio?
Sure, let me just quickly share my screen. So regards to the performance testing, I have been instrumenting our controllers with Prometheus, Pyroscope, and Grafana to collect metrics and profile information per se. And this is the setup that I have been building. Just gonna be focused on WGS1. So we have Prometheus, just a single Prometheus to collect the metrics and the point from the API server and our controllers. And so we have Pyroscope to collect the pproof profile data from our controllers per se. To set up this environment, one of the issue that I have kind of to overcome is the RBAC and how the Prometheus needs to connect to our Cube API server that is not the Cube API server from the host cluster per se. And the second issue I was having is to have the right RBAC to talk to the KubeStellar metrics and the point that is behind the Cube RBAC proxy per se. There was some I wasn't sure if the Cube proxy was talking to the Cube API server on the WDS system or versus the Cube API server on the hosting cluster. And that's the issue, Paulo, that I mentioned yesterday to you. So I did some testing and I was able to find out that the Cube API proxy is talking actually to the hosting should be talking indeed to the API server from the hosting cluster. So I gave the right RBAC. So now I'm able to query all the metrics and profile informations from our controller on the WGS1 system per se. And just also, Paulo, the suggestion that you have asked me to try yesterday about using the kubeconfig and extract the certificate to just a second option to have the right RBACs for the Kube API server. So I did that, but I was getting an error of the certificate is missing the IP SAN per se. It couldn't verify at least the other certificates are not working. Using those certificates on the kube configured, not working at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, but yes, but I'm able to follow those metrics, and I have a connect to Grafana, both the Pyroscope and Prometheus endpoint, and I'm now just building the Grafana's Grafana dashboard so that we can have observe the how the message collection and have that information in a single UI per se, that in this case is Grafana. Yes, that's one thing. So the second thing highlighting to the performance test is that last we have been discussing about it would be so great for us to have a measure of the deletion of objects in our in our performance test per se. But to measure the deletion of an object is not is not an easy task in Kubernetes. There is there is not a very simple and easy approach, and we had some this discussion with the team, with Mike and the rest of the team, and there were also three suggestions that were proposed to explore. One was to use the informers to watch for deletion events from the API server. The second was to build to instrument our controllers to compute the latency, and the third one was just to check the API server logs for deletion events, and trying to see if we can compute the latency. So I'm starting with the third approach, because that seems to be more straightforward, and also I believe give us the most accurate, the most accurate measurement to measure the list of API server. So that's also the second point I have been working on for the performance test. Yeah, that's all for my side. And
All right. Thank you for the update, Braulio. Any questions for Braulio? All right, let's continue. All right, we've got a couple of new blog posts that have been posted out there. I think there's even a new one. So Ash, Ricky, I believe Gene has also got one out there now as well. There's quite a few that are being published, so just keep an eye on it. There's also a video that Ricky and Benson have been working on for how to install KubeStellar with um, Helm, as well as add Game 2048 to the clusters, the remote clusters via KubeStellar deployment. And configuring ingress is the next step for them. Configuring ingress to allow both clusters to show Game 2048 running simultaneously. So they're on the tail end of that last step. That's going to complete their IFOS experience for the summer. Both of them have, most everyone, just as a quick note on IFOS, an update there. I've been keeping track of the journey for each of the 7 participants. The large majority of them have put in I've asked of them to have a goal for 5 issues at least, 2 PRs to correct items that have been identified in any one of those issues that they've risen, and also to have 2 or 3 blog postings. A video does also count as a blog post. So they've been encouraged to collaborate with each other, to learn Kubernetes, to learn Git, to learn all the different tools that they can use to navigate around and understand how Kubernetes works and operates. You can see slowly how the gears are catching in their minds, how they're starting to connect things and concepts, not only within Kubernetes, but also within KubeStellar. And it's starting to reflect and show back on how the documents have been reorganized. A lot of their feedback has gone into how we've done the reorganization. So I'm very thankful for all the participation that they've given us this summer. They'll be concluding their work with us over the next week and a half. And then we'll start the fall program probably in September. I've got 2 people queued up to come on board from Valencia, and I'm reaching out to Georgia Tech to see if they would like to participate some more. I've also invited for one of the presentations that we've got going for KubeCon, we've got both professors from Valencia and from Georgia Tech joining that panel, as well as I've asked one of the participants from IFOS to join us as well. Ash, she's on the call now, and it's open for other participants if either the talk is accepted in the pre-conference material or in the actual conference. I'll open it up for more of the IFOS program participants to join us on stage. And I think that would be useful as well. Initially, I just needed to have an initial panel, so I opened it up only to 1 or 2 folks. Ash accepted, so we're just waiting to see if the actual program gets accepted. If the talk gets accepted, then we can invite others to participate as well. So a lot of good output has come from the folks here assembled on this call and not. And I'm just taking this time now. This will be their last official community call that they'll participate in as an IFOS participant. But I'd like to encourage them to come and visit us on a regular basis and to continue to contribute to us over time, and also spread the word that the program exists. And if other people would like to join, our door is open. So I want to say publicly now at this point, I want to say thank you, an emphatic thank you to each and every one of the IFOS program participants. And I hope to see you again someday. Either start your own open source project or continue to participate in KubeStellar. Thank you so much for joining and helping us. Okay, update Kube Day Japan. Our talk wasn't accepted, but there's some rumblings about maybe some booth participation happening there. So this is, while the talk itself was not accepted, there might be some more activity there. We'll check in with them and see. Again, KCD, our lightning talk was accepted for blue-green canary deployments in KubeStellar. So that's cool. Gets us on the stage. It's something we've been trying to break into at KubeCon events and Linux Foundation events for a while. So I'm glad we're actually going to be able to do that. That'll take place September 24th at KubeCon Day. And then there's a DevOps Day on the 25th. I'll stick around and participate there. To see what these KubeCon days are all about, and to come back and report as to how we can grow our participation there as well. KubeCon North America, as you can see, there's a number of different talks that have been submitted for CFP. We're waiting on some answers. We should have that by the end of the month, next month. And I put in also couple weeks ago for Project Pavilion, as we had for KubeCon in France earlier in the year, and something called the Tech Discussions Table, which is useful for bringing in partners or talking to prospective clients. And so I've added us there, applied for that as well. There'll be other opportunities. We've got lightning talks checked off for KubeStellar, and all I ask is that if any of you plan on attending, you should go and reserve your hotel room. I can't underscore that enough. The later you wait, you can always cancel a hotel room with no charge. So go ahead and reserve it now in anticipation that you'll be part of the program. And then at a later date, when we find out the talks are or are not included, you can go ahead and cancel it or keep your reservation and join us there in Salt Lake City. Okay, any updates on KubeStellar development? I guess there's no more work being done on Helm at this point. I know combined status is moving along. The redesign of the site is continual, and performance testing we just spoke about. And I think we did the update to the most recent version of Kubernetes. Is that true? Okay, I'll have to double check if Mike should join us. All right, that concludes all the topics that I had for discussion. Is there anybody out there that has anything they'd like to bring up? Kevin.
Yeah, I just want to say we're actually at 23.1 because we did do the patch on the documentation. So that's the only change. The code didn't change, but the documentation did. And it can be confusing if you're trying to use the .o documentation.
Okay, so I had asked the question in our forum, but have we considered only having one representative release for a given major? Like, in other words, if we have 23.1, is there a reason to have 23.0?
We're talking about whether we remove 23.0. We're just a little worried that if we could do a redirect, but I don't think we can do that with our MK docs. I just don't want to. We don't want to leave people stranded who.
Yeah, I'm just not sure how many of these these, especially the release candidates, why we're still holding on to those.
Yeah.
But
So we can absolutely do a prune,
yeah,
but somewhere we should have a list of pruned versions so people know what to use. So maybe
Yeah.
a cross-reference file would be good.
Okay. All right, maybe that's one of the next steps we have to take there, because I think anything we can do with that, with respect to that, would reduce confusion, especially given that we've cleaned things up and kind of made things a bit easier to follow now, I think. So it'd be good to take another, maybe a pruning session to figure out what to remove,
We could
especially the
add a,
release candidates. Yeah.
yeah, we could possibly add a cross-reference for which version to use, which web version to use with which release in the overview of the docs, since we now have that overview, that intro to the doc.
Yeah, I've got to think that future versions of the documentation aren't going to be as seismic a shift as we've just accomplished. So, yeah, that's where I'll leave it with that.
Yep.
Something to consider. Okay, good. Any other questions or comments? Anyone from IFOS want to make any comments or questions?
Yeah, I just want to formally thank everyone for this experience. It was really interesting and the project's really great too. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ash. We're really appreciative that you were able to join.
Yeah, I hope to keep contributing because it's like fun and I've been learning a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, Ash, so from my point of view, I think one of the most valuable things
Mhm.
that we were able to help the IFOS program do was to learn how to create issues and create PRs that are signed. What, from
Yeah.
your point of view, from your perspective, what was one of the most valuable learning that you had over the course of the program?
So the exposure to Kubernetes and to like KubeStellar, what it does, that was really interesting. I guess second to that would be like fully executing the PR, signing and that. So I've seen a PR work, but I haven't raised it myself. So that was really useful. But yeah, just understanding KubeStellar was also quite beneficial. Yeah.
Great. Does this tie in at all with any of the, I know you're doing HPC major,
Mhm.
if I'm not
Yep.
mistaken, right? How does this
Yes.
tie in with your major?
So I did study with like distributed computing and cloud computing. So this does work in with a lot of that. And when I was looking for full-time roles, I saw a lot of open source development related positions. So I guess this would also be helpful for that. Um, yeah, I guess everything about cluster management, we've done a lot in theory, but this was more practical.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, you're the next generation. It'd be interesting to see how, I know there's a lot of hype around AI right now, but it kind of begs for me for high performance compute and distributed computing and cluster management on a whole, how
Mhm.
your thinking evolves, right, over the course of time. It'd
Mhm.
be interesting to see if any of you in the program are considering continuing your educational journey beyond graduate studies and moving into PhD and doctoral programs where you can study the problem at large and come up with some hypotheses and maybe some conclusions around how how KubeStellar fits, right? Or the technology that we're using, the underpinning of Kubernetes and expanding it to do cluster management across multiple clusters and multiple vendors. How, if that's at all a valid premise, or if you see other things coming on the horizon that will simplify multi-cluster management, or if multi-clusters are even a necessity in the future. So it'd be interesting to see how that shapes your thinking, and we'll be watching if you come up with some hypothesis on this in the future.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. I'll keep in touch in that case.
Okay, folks. So that'll wrap it up for today, unless anybody else has got anything else they would like to impart on the meeting. Okay, thanks all. We'll see you again in 2 weeks.
Thank you. See you.